Hey y'all, it's Grandma Ruth, sitting here with my tea, ready to tell you a story that still gives me chills. 2 years ago, I moved into my son Ethan's house in Nashville. After my husband passed, I was lonely, and Ethan said, "Ma, come live with us." His wife Lila smiled real sweet, but her eyes were cold as a winter creek. Their big old house had a spare room, and I thought it'd be a fresh start. But soon, I felt like an intruder. Lila's sighs when I'd shuffle through the kitchen, Ethan's distracted nods when I'd talk about my day. It stung. I'm 72, but I ain't invisible. I'd catch Lila whispering to Ethan, her voice sharp, like she was scheming. One night, I overheard her say, "Tomorrow we'll lock her away." My heart stopped. Lock me away? Where? A home? Worse? I wasn't sticking around to find out. That night, I lay in bed, my mind racing. I raised Ethan, loved him fierce, but something was off. Lila had a mean streak, and Ethan, bless his heart, was under her spell. I decided I'd escape before dawn. I packed a small bag, photos of my late husband, some cash, my Bible. The house was quiet, but every creak made me jump. I crept downstairs, avoiding the squeaky third step. The back door was my best bet. Lila always forgot to lock it. As I slipped on my coat, I heard whispers from their room. Lila's voice, low and venomous. "She's a burden, Ethan." Tomorrow it's done, I froze, my hand on the doorknob. My own son planning to betray me? I ain't proud, but anger sparked in me. Anger and a need for justice. I slipped out into the chilly night, the stars my only witness. My old Chevy was parked down the street, hidden from Lila's nosy eyes. I climbed in, my hands shaking, and drove to a motel off the highway. Safe for now, but I wasn't done. Lila thought she could cage me, but I'd show her I wasn't some frail old lady. I'd get my revenge, not with fists, but with smarts. I checked into the motel, paid cash, and sat on the lumpy bed, planning. I'd spent years saving for Ethan's future, but now I'd use that money to protect myself. First, I needed proof of their scheme. I remembered Lila's habit of texting her sister Claire every detail of her life. If I could get those messages, I'd have evidence. But how? I ain't tech savvy, but I'm stubborn. I called my old friend Betty, who knew a guy, a private investigator named Jack. He was rough around the edges, but loyal. I hired him to dig into Lila's phone. By morning, I had a plan. Expose Lila, protect my freedom, and make sure Ethan saw her true colors. The night was long, but I felt alive, ready to fight back. This wasn't just about escaping, it was about taking back my dignity. Y'all stick with me, 'cause this story's just getting started. Morning came, and I was holed up in that motel, sipping bad coffee, waiting for Jack's call. My heart was heavy thinking about Ethan. He was my boy, my pride, but Lila had him wrapped around her finger. I couldn't shake her words. Tomorrow we'll lock her away. Was it a nursing home, a hospital, something darker? I needed answers. Jack called around noon, his voice gruff but kind. "Ruth, I got into Lila's phone. She's been texting Claire about a place called Shady Pines. It's a facility, but not the cozy kind. Sounds like a dump for folks they want to forget." My stomach churned. Shady Pines had a reputation. Neglect, locked doors, no visitors. I wasn't going there. Jack sent me screenshots of Lila's texts. "Ethan's mom is driving me nuts. Shady Pines tomorrow. She won't know what hit her. I felt betrayed. But I wasn't breaking. I told Jack to keep digging. He found more. Lila was planning to sell my jewelry, my mama's heirlooms, to pay for Shady Pines. That lit a fire in me. Those pearls weren't just trinkets. They were my history. I decided to hit back where it hurt. I called my lawyer, Susan. a sharp gal I'd known since she was a kid. I told her everything. "Ruth," she said, "we'll protect your assets and expose Lila. But you gotta stay safe." I trusted Susan to freeze my accounts so Lila couldn't touch them. Next, I needed Ethan to see the truth. I wrote him a letter, not accusing, but honest. "Son, I heard Lila's plan. I'm safe, but you need to know who she is." I mailed it from the motel, hoping it'd wake him up. Jack called again that evening. "Ruth, Lila's meeting someone from Shady Pines tomorrow. I'll tell her." I felt a spark of hope. If Jack could catch her in the act, we'd have proof. I spent the night praying, my Bible open to Psalms. "Deliver me from mine enemies, O Lord." I wasn't just fighting for me, I was fighting for the life I'd built. The next day, Jack sent photos. Lila shaking hands with a shady-looking guy outside Shady Pines. He overheard her say, "She's old, no one will check on her." My blood boiled. I told Jack to get every detail, names, dates, plans. I wasn't just escaping now, I was building a case. Susan called, saying she'd filed an emergency order to protect my estate. Lila wouldn't get a dime, but I needed more than legal wins. I needed Ethan to choose me over her. I called my old neighbor, Tom, who still lived near Ethan's place. "Tom, can you slip my letter to Ethan when Lila's out?" Tom agreed, no questions asked. That night, I dreamed of my husband, his kind eyes telling me to keep fighting. I woke up determined. Lila thought she'd outsmarted me, but I was a grandma with a plan. I wasn't just running, I was setting a trap. Y'all hold tight, 'cause this is where it gets wild. By day 3, I was a bundle of nerves and grit, planning my next move from that dingy motel. Jack's photos of Lila at Shady Pines were gold, but I needed Ethan to see them. My letter was with Tom, and I prayed Ethan would read it before Lila got to him. Susan, my lawyer, was working overtime, filing motions to block Lila from touching my money or jewelry. She found out Lila had already tried to access my savings. Thank God Susan froze it first. I was mad, but I was focused. Lila wasn't just after my freedom, she won my legacy. I told Jack to keep tailing her. He called that afternoon, voice low. "Ruth, Lila's meeting that Shady Pines guy again. She's pushing to sign papers today." My heart raced. If Ethan didn't see my letter soon, Lila might lock me out of my own life. I told Jack to record everything, audio, video, whatever he could get. I wasn't playing nice anymore. Tom called later saying he'd slipped my letter into Ethan's toolbox in the garage. Ethan always tinkered there when Lila was out. I hoped he'd find it soon. Meanwhile, I started thinking about revenge. Not the ugly kind, but the kind that sets things right. I remembered Lila's sister Claire was her weak spot. Claire was nosy but soft-hearted. If I could get her on my side, Lila's plan might crumble. I called Claire, using a burner phone Jack got me. "Claire, it's Ruth. I know what Lila's planning. She's trying to lock me in Shady Pines and sell my mama's pearls." Claire gasped, then went quiet. "Ruth, I didn't know it was that bad. I'll talk to her." I didn't trust Claire fully, but I'd planted a seed. That night, Jack sent a video. Lila signing papers with the Shady Pines guy, laughing about getting rid of the old bat. I nearly cried, but anger kept me going. I sent the video to Susan, who said it was enough to file a restraining order. But I wanted more. I wanted Lila to face Ethan. I told Jack to send the video to Ethan's phone, anonymously. If he saw Lila's true colors, maybe he'd wake up. By morning, Ethan called me, his voice shaking. "Ma, is it true? Lila's planning to put you in a home?" I told him everything, her whispers, the text, the video. He was quiet, then said, "I'm so sorry, Ma. I didn't know, my heart broke, but I felt hope." Ethan promised to confront Lila that night. I told him to meet me at the motel, away from her. Susan called, saying the restraining order was filed, and Lila couldn't come near me. I felt stronger, but I wasn't done. I wanted Lila to know I'd won. I asked Jack to leak her text to Claire, knowing Claire would blab to their whole family. By evening, Claire called, crying, "Ruth, Lila's a mess. The family knows everything." I didn't gloat, but I felt justice brewing. Ethan was coming to me, and Lila was losing her grip. The trap was closing, y'all, and Lila didn't see it coming. It was day 4, and I was waiting in the motel for Ethan, my heart pounding like a drum. He showed up at dusk, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His eyes were red, and he hugged me tight, saying, "Ma, I'm so sorry." I should have seen it. I held him, my boy. But I wasn't letting emotions cloud my plan. Lila's betrayal was still fresh, and I needed to make sure she'd never hurt me again. Ethan told me he'd watched Jack's video and read my letter. "Lila admitted it," he said, voice cracking. "She said Shady Pines was her idea, not mine." I nodded, knowing Lila would throw anyone under the bus to save herself. I showed Ethan the texts Jack got. Lila planning to sell my jewelry, calling me a burden. He looked sick. "Ma, I'm leaving her. You're coming home with me." But I wasn't ready to go back. I needed Lila gone first. Susan called, saying the restraining order was served to Lila that morning. Lila was furious, calling Ethan nonstop, but he blocked her. I felt a spark of victory, but I wanted more than legal papers. I wanted Lila to feel the weight of her actions. I told Ethan about Claire spilling the beans to their family. Lila's own kin were turning on her, calling her greedy and cruel. Ethan said he'd move out, get a new place for us, but I had one last play. I called Claire again, knowing she'd spread the word. "Claire, tell Lila I'm not going to Shady Pines. I'm free and I'm keeping my mama's pearls." Claire promised to pass it on. By nightfall, Jack called with news. Lila was packing her bags, leaving Ethan's house. Her family had cut her off, and she had nowhere to go. I didn't cheer, but I felt justice. Ethan and I talked late into the night, planning our next steps. He swore he'd make things right, starting with a divorce. I told him I'd move back only when Lila was gone for good. Susan sent me papers to transfer my savings to a trust, safe from anyone's grabby hands. I signed them, feeling like I'd taken back my power. Jack sent one last update. Lila was staying at a cheap motel, crying to Claire about losing everything. I didn't pity her. She'd tried to steal my freedom, my family, my legacy. The next morning, Ethan and I met Susan at her office. She had news. Lila's deal with Shady Pines fell through when they saw Jack's evidence. The facility was under investigation now, thanks to us. I felt proud, like I'd not only saved myself but others too. Ethan looked at me, eyes full of love. "Ma, you're tougher than nails." I smiled, knowing I'd fought and won, but I wasn't done. I wanted Lila to know I'd outsmarted her, fair and square. Y'all, the final part's coming, and it's a doozy. It's been a week since I escaped, y'all, and I'm sitting in my new apartment, sipping sweet tea, feeling free. Ethan moved me into a cozy place near downtown Nashville. Just me and my memories. Lila's gone, living with her cousin in Memphis, shunned by her family after Claire spilled her secrets. Ethan filed for divorce, and Susan made sure my estate was ironclad. My mama's pearls are safe, sitting pretty in a locked box. I ain't gonna lie, it hurts knowing my son's marriage fell apart, but he's my boy again, visiting me daily, helping me plant flowers on my balcony. Jack sent one last gift, a recording of Lila's call to Claire, admitting she underestimated that old lady. I laughed, knowing I'd proved her wrong. Susan got Shady Pines shut down after an investigation found neglect and fraud. I felt like I'd done right by others who might have ended up there. Ethan and I are rebuilding, talking like we used to when he was a kid. He's sorry, and I forgive him, but I'm teaching him to stand up for what's right. I even started a YouTube channel, yep, this one, sharing stories to warn folks about family betrayal. My first video, this story, is for every grandma out there feeling invisible. You're stronger than you know. I learned something through all this. Age don't mean weakness. I outsmarted Lila with grit and a little help from friends. My revenge wasn't loud, it was quiet, smart, and final. Lila's living with her mistakes, while I'm living free. I still pray for her, 'cause that's who I am, but I ain't looking back. Ethan's growing stronger, and I'm proud. My new place has a view of the city, and every sunrise feels like a victory. I'm planning to keep telling stories, maybe write a book. If I can escape and fight back at 72, y'all can do anything. So, that's my tale. The night I escaped my son's house, outwitted a snake, and reclaimed my life. Thanks for listening, and if you've got a story of your own, drop it in the comments. Let's keep this community strong. Love y'all, Grandma Ruth.